Hello and welcome everyone to another InventRight live stream. We got Mr. Stephen Key here. My name's Andrew Krause. Together, we co-founded InventRight 23 years ago. We've had students in over 65 countries. We have a lot of fantastic coaches. And what do? We coach and mentor inventors to license their products. So you don't need to start a business. You don't need to raise money. You don't need employees. But you can license your products to these giant companies
I thought I was
and
doing the
think
intro. I thought I
big.
was doing the intro, and then you just did the intro. Okay,
That's what I always do. Go ahead, Stephen. You can do the. You can do
I
the.
want to do the intro. We're here today to show you how to license your ideas, how to bring your ideas to market through the licensing great business model, so it saves you time, energy, and money, so you can share your creativity with the world, and that's why we're here on this Q&A today.
Okay. All right. All right. No, you told me earlier that you wanted to get into the specifics of what people are going to learn today. You
I know,
know, what we're
the
going to cover.
big picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Big picture here is that you have this great idea and you're not quite sure what to do. What do I do next? Or maybe you're in the process and venturing isn't working, or maybe you're reaching out to companies and you want to license your idea and they're not responding back to you, or maybe you're just doing things that are costing you money but nothing's happening. Right?
Or
So
spending tons of time and nothing's happening. Guys, I
yeah,
want to remind you, start typing in your questions. Stephen and I are going to answer questions. So that's great, Stephen.
but
It's kind of hard to find an inventor that's not frustrated with the process when they're new to it, right?
I
I
think we're
mean,
all frustrated to a certain degree
or
about.
Or some people aren't frustrated. They made all these assumptions about what to do. Oh, I get a patent, then I get a prototype, and then they're not frustrated yet. But then they're like, oh, where did that get me? You know, they're looking around, going, what happened?
Yeah, I think you have quite a few people out there that are thinking, I just got this great idea. What do I do? Right. And you're hearing all these different people talk about it. And hey, get a patent. You better get a patent. Or hey, you better, you better be careful. Or hey, you need to start a company. Or hey, you need to raise money. Or all these kind of weird things. And you're like, okay, and who are you getting this advice
Well,
from?
people don't think those are weird. People think that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what most people think. But we're here to tell them there's another path. There's a low risk path financially, and once you learn how to do it time wise as well, and it's a path where you can dream big because these companies that you license to are big. So when you're with them, you're big, you know. And I don't think there's many inventors. Some inventors, Stephen, they like,
I
oh
like it.
well, you know, I like to sell a little bit here and a little bit there, but or I'll start an Etsy store. But most inventors, when they dream about their invention, they envision it at a Home Depot or a
Yeah.
Walmart or a Target. I mean, let's be honest, and that's what licensing can do for them, right?
All right. Yes, and you're right. I don't, maybe a lot of people think I'm just going to start out in my garage. I'm just
Make a
going to,
hundred units.
yeah, I'm going to do a Kickstarter campaign, raise a little bit of money, and just sell it on Amazon, and maybe start that. I'm going to do the slow method.
Yeah.
Now, here's the catch, guys. Yes, you can do that, right? But realize you're not really serious about it. You're not really playing the right game. You don't really understand how this all works. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? So,
Mm.
but I want to talk about some things today. You know me, Andrew. I'm always on a rant.
Before you do your rant, I wanna just say hello to some people that are already typing questions. James, Rudy, Peter. Let you guys know. Please type your questions in, and in between Steven's rants, we'll answer your questions. I'm
I,
just kidding, Steven.
I,
You're the one.
well, you guys, I get excited about this, and I do. And some things just really irritate me.
All
And
right, we want to hear it.
yeah, and I really want to. I want
It's
to
a
express.
therapy session with Stephen Key. Stephen, hold on a second here, Stephen. So, so how do you, you lie back on the sofa there?
Andrew's my
Go
therapist.
ahead, Stephen.
I want everybody to be my therapist today. I need help, guys, because
Okay, good. I like that. That's great.
I'm frustrated. I want everybody to help me because I think there's things that are happening out there that look like they're a good idea, but they're really not.
Hmm.
Okay. And I want to go and I want to talk about this thing. I always talk about this thing. I'm not going to talk about patent attorneys this time. I promise you. I promise you. Maybe a little. But all right. I want to talk about that button, that little magic button that's going to solve all your problems. That little magic button that you see on a website that says submit your idea here. That little magic button that's in your dreams. Like, oh my God, they're going to do all the work. I've got this great idea. I'm going to submit it to this company and everything's going to work out beautifully for me. That's my rant today.
And you're talking, the button you're talking about is like a company, and let's say they're selling kitchen gadgets, and there's a place on their website where they're like, inventors, you can submit your idea here. Is that the button you're talking about?
Yes, I'm talking about that little button that says submit your idea here, right? And okay, let me talk about that for a minute. Now, there are some companies, in fact, more and more companies put that little submit your button, submit your idea here. I'm going to tell you, those are called online portals. Online portals. And it looks like this is really great. I have an idea. They're looking for ideas. I'm going to submit my idea to them.
Sure, makes sense. And I know they're open. So I'm a little hesitant. I don't really know if I can do this, but they're saying they want my ideas and I'm an inventor, so this all feels very comfortable.
Perfect.
Or maybe not comfortable, but at least it's encouraging. It's encouraging. Let's be honest.
I'm making things happen. I'm making things happen. I'm here to tell you, it does not work.
Yeah. I talked to a guy yesterday. That's all he was doing. He's not a student.
Doesn't work.
He said he'd sent to about 15 companies through the portals and he hasn't gotten anything back. And I'm like, okay, you can do that, but I'm not surprised that that's your result. That's actually what I would expect.
It really doesn't work. Yeah. But it's very tempting. So what does work? What does work? What works is reaching out to these companies that do embrace open innovation, that are looking for product ideas, and finding those people maybe through trade shows. We'll talk about that in a minute, but maybe through LinkedIn, asking about their process. You guys, these portals are really for the people that are just beginners, right? And the other ones, I've kind of figured it out. I'm going to build a relationship and I'm going to work with the person within that company, because these portals are just black holes. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, I've asked enough companies that have those portals. I've asked them.
Well, you did a freaking book.
I did. I did. I asked them, how's that working for you guys? You know what they've told me?
Yeah. We
don't license anything through the portals.
But the same company has licensed a lot of products.
That's all they do.
So if they're not getting it through the portal, where are they getting the ideas?
They're getting it because the people that are educated about this aren't going through the portals. Those portals are for people at the very beginning that don't know what to do. So they go through the portal.
It shouldn't even be for people at the very beginning. It's for people at the very beginning that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys, we're going to talk a lot about portals and what you should do. Build relationships. Yes. And if they demand for you to go through a portal, find a different company. Okay, here's the other thing too I want to say. If there's a third-party company that is giving you access to all these companies, all right, and then there's a couple of them out there, and I know who they are, and I'm not gonna talk about them. You can do your own homework on these guys, but the bottom line is, and they want you to pay. Now they want you to pay, right? We have all these companies that are in our. We embrace open innovation. We have all these portals and we want you to go in, but we want you to pay now. You guys, if that worked, you would see the success, right? So all I'm saying is, if these things work, let me see the success. Because Andrew, you can say anything you want, but if you don't have the success, it's not worth much.
Yeah, I agree.
And don't pay for that. So let's talk about results for a minute. Right. First of all, before we talk about that, if you want a list of companies that are looking for ideas, all right, we have a list. We have a list of companies. We have a list of 500 companies. I don't think you need a list. But if you want a list, we have a list of 500 companies. Andrew, could you show them where that list is?
Yeah. I'm assuming people are seeing the some of the stuff people are typing in. I'm just clicking on a few of them. But let's go take a look here.
Yeah, find the list that's free. There's no charge for this. God, don't people that are charging for that, get away from those guys. All right.
So if you go to inventright.com and then you click on free resources, you're going to see this page, and you can sign up for all our free resources. I'm going to click stop sharing, and I'm going to reshare the screen. I'm new to sharing here. I'm going to reshare the actual resources so I can show you this.
And what's really great about this too, you guys?
Stephen, I'm sorry, did you want me to share companies looking for ideas, or did you want me to share inventions for sale?
I'm talking about free resources, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm on the free resources page.
Yeah, the free resources, you guys, I'm just saying there's all these free resources that are available, but if you want a list of companies that are looking for ideas, over 500 companies, please just join this free resources and start to look. It's a directory, it's a database. There it is. So you don't have to pay anybody to do that. You guys can do it yourself. Paying is ridiculous, you guys. As we mentioned at the very beginning of this, we're trying to save you some time, energy, and money, what works. So don't pay for those portals. Okay, number 2, Andrew, results. Let's talk about results before we get to all these questions. I'm a big believer in results. If you're doing something that doesn't work, kick it to the curb and do something that does work. I mean, I don't want to spend my time on things that just don't work. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in showing results. Right, so go to the page we have. We love that when our members have products that hit the market. We love when they hit the market. We love when they hit the market, and because of that, we have a page up at InventRight that these are products that you can buy today.
That our students have licensed.
Yeah. So why don't you go through it real quick? I don't know, Andrew, I don't even think you can get down to the bottom of the page. Keep on scrolling. Keep on scrolling.
All we just threw this together for a holiday gift guide.
Keep on scrolling, Andrew. Keep on scrolling.
I'm scrolling.
You'll never get through it all. Okay,
I'll go faster here.
This is
I love this product, by the way, this whiskey wedge from Ryan. I love all these.
Sold
products.
1 million units. That one sold 1 million units. Okay, keep on scrolling. Oh God, you can go forever on this.
This is a product Dario Antonioni licensed a long time ago. Really cool product. They did like 60, 70 different versions of this. It lets you create a pocket anywhere. That's a really cool product with these straps. And you're like, oh, it's just elastic straps, but it's done in just a certain way. Very clever, very patentable, very unique. That's sold an insane amount. They ended up buying them out.
The power lock, then not the power lock, but the word lock's been around forever.
Yeah, Todd with the word lock. Yeah, it uses words rather than letters.
Keep on scrolling, and you'll never get down to the bottom because I want to move on.
Yeah. This is Aaron did this recently. This dog toy. That's a fun product. This one helps you have good posture. There's another version of the word lock.
Well, stop there with Ingrid.
Bait bucket. Tina and Mark, they really struggled in order to do this deal, but they got it done. You remember their ups and downs.
That's a very interesting story because they had licensed it to one company. The deal fell apart. They relicensed it to a really big company. Now it's doing great. Go back up though. I want to show them one that's really important here. This finger shield right there, finger shield by Ingrid. You guys, let me explain this too. This is a grandma, Ingrid. She was able to license this to Baby Brezza, which is a huge company. And the first email she sent to them, pitching her idea, because she had a direct contact. David Contract's a very good friend of ours. We have him on one of our programs called Bridging the Gap. She submits it. He doesn't see it, doesn't get back to her. And she's probably thinking, they don't like it. But she goes ahead and follows up, sends it again, and he apologizes. He didn't respond to it. He loves it, and now it's everywhere.
Yeah, but if she had said, "Oh, he didn't get back to me, I give up," she wouldn't have never licensed it. He's just busy.
Yeah, keep on going, Andy. I want to move on because we have a lot of stuff to do. But keep on. See if you can get down to the bottom of it. Go on. See if you can get to the bottom. Yeah, keep on going.
So what's really cool, guys, is these are all our students that currently, not licensed it in the past, currently, right now, you can buy these products.
Some of them, we've been doing this for a long time, you guys, and so there's a lot of products here. And what we've done for the first time, Andrew's right. First time we thought, why don't we put them together? And so people can
I
actually
can't
buy.
believe we haven't done this, you know? But this
Uh,
this oh, I like Fred's product is here. He sent me a box of these actually with the gunny tool holder. That was fun. That was a recent one. Um, there's
yeah.
so many. My goodness.
All right. All right. Enough of that. Enough
There
of that.
is okay. All right.
Enough of that. All right, you guys. So let's go back, Andrew. I just wanted to now, just to recap, you guys. What we just showed you was results, right? And so whoever you're going to work with, I don't care who it is. It could be us. It could be anybody. Whoever you're going to work with, make sure they have results. And make sure they have results today or last week or next week. Make sure they've got a large body of results. If they don't have results, find someone that does.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there you go. There's my rant. Find people with results and forget those portals. Okay, good.
So Stephen, I never used this feature before, but I can click on show when somebody typed a question and we can see it. I'm assuming you see it too.
Yeah, I haven't
So
seen it before. Go ahead. That looks
yeah,
great.
yeah,
So,
okay. So Celeste, it looks like going through a portal or paying a company to do the work for you up front, especially before they have done anything, are two deadly mistakes inventors can make. What others would you add to this list? Okay, so what so she's asking what other mistakes inventors make. Stephen,
oh,
that's the only mistake inventors make. We don't make any other mistakes.
no, they don't make any mistakes. The
No,
last. Oh, okay. All
we're
right.
being silly guys.
Can we go
We're
down another rant again here, you guys? Okay,
sure.
because I love this question. Let me tell you another mistake.
Okay.
Buying a booth at a trade show,
Yeah.
showing your prototype and expecting some person magically is going to walk by and go, "You're brilliant. I want your idea." Uh, Andrew, that's one of those things again that if that really worked, I would like to see results, right? And I even asked one of our fellow individuals out here in the whole trade show world. I asked him because he says he loves going to these trade shows. I said, "There's great. Could you show me results?" He goes, "Yeah, I got it, but I still have not seen it." Okay, and so I'm all about seeing results. And if I see results, then I'm going to get behind something and spread it with you guys. If you show me results, I'll spread it
But
more.
our students have a lot of success at trade shows, but they have success walking the trade show and just at paying for the general attendance, which is usually free or low cost, walking the show and talking to people at the booths, which is the manufacturers that sell to the retailers. But when inventors pay to go to a show and have a booth, and and to be honest, a lot of times they're not really clear. Do I want to license this? Do I want to venture? Like half of the people, inventors you talk to, they're like, they don't know why they're there exactly. And a retailer is not going to walk up and say, "Oh, I want an order." They can tell you don't have the cash flow, you're not going to deliver on time, there's going to be quality control issues, and then, are the other people with the booths that have products that you're supposed to be licensing to, are they walking around? No, they're trying to sit in their booth selling. So you should be walking around. You shouldn't have a booth. You should be walking around talking to the vendors. So not only does it save you money, but it's the very efficient way to go about it. Now, for those of you like, "Oh, I'm busy, I limited budget, I don't want to fly out to a trade show." You don't have to. Our students license all the time using LinkedIn, using email, using the phone.
But
But it's a nice thing to do.
but
Do
Andrew,
not feel like you have to.
I love trade shows. I've been going to trade shows for 40 years. I love them. But you have
Hmm.
to work the show. You have to knock on doors. You have to visit these companies. You have to make relationships. You have to work it. But if you're sitting there at a booth, they're not going to come find you. It doesn't work that way. But here's the other thing too. If you have a prototype and you're not ready to ship, right? You're just exposing your idea to the world. Don't do that. Now, Andrew, let me tell you what's really weird. Someone contacted me just the other day that the trade solutions for all the trade shows and said, "Steve, stop doing that." I didn't tell you
Sorry,
how.
say that again. I didn't get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Say it again.
someone contacted me the other day that kind of works with all the trade shows and said, "Steve, stop saying that.
Stop saying what?
Don't buy a booth."
Okay. Well, no, that's bullshit. We're going to advise inventors to
And
do
so
the best for themselves.
they tried to explain to me, "We read your article,
Right.
right? And you stop doing that. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. They have to buy a booth. In fact, what you're doing is against policy. It's against policy." And I said, "Wait a minute. Wait. I said, first of all, We're not selling, we're licensing, we're building relationships. Companies look for us to be there to meet with them. So you're telling me not to say that information?
Sounds like this person has a vested interest in making money from selling inventors booths.
Well, Andrew, it was a little shocking. When I wrote that back, I have not heard a reply. But anyway, let's go on.
Okay, this one's really cool. I'm assuming you can see these, Stephen. Can you see
Yeah,
them
I
throw
can. They're great.
Okay, this is really cool. We never used this feature before. Andrew and Stephen, I've been doing, this is from Mel. I've been doing my invention solo. I truly need a mentor, even though I have been at this for 10 years and have a utility patent. Thanks on purpose. So, Stephen, we've talked to a lot of people that have filed patents, have been thinking about and working in their own way. Some of it is effective, obviously, some of it's not. Mel, thank you, Mel, for being so honest and transparent with sharing that, and obviously when you've been doing something for 10 years and it's not working, I think a couple things are going on there. You're doing the wrong things, or a lot of inventors, they're not really doing that much. They filed a patent and they're thinking about it and they're contemplating finally at some stage doing this or doing that, but they're not really doing it yet. And Mel, thank you so much for sharing where you are with things. I really appreciate it.
Andrew, we see this constantly. And if you're doing something year after year and you're not getting results, you got to change it up, right? And it's not just keep doing it. It's really get some help. Someone wrote this the other day on LinkedIn, which I thought was really amazing. They said, if you're in business and if you don't have a coach, advisor, a mentor, it's a hobby. And I thought that was really interesting because then I started to think about the people that are successful have some type of advisory board. They have someone else that has other skills. You build a team of knowledge. To think that you're going to go down this road all by yourself, that you've never done it before, and read a book or watch a video and think that you're going to be successful. Yes, it does happen, but it's very, very rare. You need like-minded people making sure you're doing all the right things.
Yeah, but inventors are, they came up with the idea by themselves. Their friends and family, they're not coming up with ideas. They're kind of alone, and they need to expand their network and their knowledge. And once you start doing that, the road starts to open up. You start to see, oh, I have two paths here. I can license it or I can sell it myself. Which path do I want to take? And if I'm going down that path, who's going to be advising me? Not, oh, well, I know how to do that path. Well, because I just know, it just makes sense. First thing I do is file a patent, and then I need a prototype. And then it's like, and that's not true, we know.
Andrew, when I first started out, it was like everybody else. I was pretty enthusiastic. I was selling product, but I knew that there's things that I wanted to do. I had goals, but I didn't know how to achieve those goals. I knew I had them. I wanted to do it, but I found my mentor, Steve Askin, when I was in my early 20s. He changed my life. He was able to tell me exactly what to do. He introduced me. In fact, what's so amazing about my mentor, I still talk to him today, 40 years later. He's still a friend of mine. He's the guy I go to when I don't know something.
And guys, I've met him twice, I think. I think at a trade show. I think I saw him at the licensing expo. He's a character, and he really cares about you, Steve, and I can tell. He really does. And he's fascinated with you, and he's a really cool dude.
First of all, he told me I wasn't crazy. The second thing he told me, he says, look, you're going to need help. And he goes, and tap into me because my network is bigger than yours. I've been doing this for longer. Tap into my network. So he's the guy that if I'm not quite sure, he's my sounding board.
Well, I differ. You're crazy, I'm crazy, and he's crazy. If you ever met Steve Askins, he's crazy, and I say that in the best possible way, and you've said it before too. So crazy is good. We're all a little crazy. That's good. But we also need to be very practical in how we move forward.
You have to have a guy. You just have to. So anyway, find that guy. Maybe it's us, maybe it's somebody else, but find that guy. Go ahead.
So Mel, it kind of expanded. 3 companies have taken his money, and he just sent him a list of companies. So Mel, yeah, I mean, obviously every inventor is doing different things wrong. If you haven't licensed a product yet, you're probably doing something wrong. Not necessarily, but and your mistake is you keep looking for somebody to do the work for you. So you need to be willing to reach out to companies and go direct. So that's your mistake,
Wait,
Mel.
wait,
That's the mistake of a lot of
wait,
inventors.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're telling me I have to do the work?
But Stephen, it's like a thousandth the work of running a business. You need to make a sell sheet, a list of companies, file a PPA, reach out, get a lot of no's,
No,
and
no,
then
no.
with the one. You have to do that. You
I
can't
want
not
someone
do
to
that.
do it for. I want someone to do it for me.
Well, you'll end up where Mel ended up with with your wallet being a lot lighter and nothing to show for it.
All right. All right.
And then this is nice.
I love these
Keith,
questions. I love how you put them up there. Very
I
nice.
know this is cool. We're getting tech. We're sharing screens. We're
Man,
sharing quotes.
you
Great.
were very impressive today. You
Thank you,
shared.
Stephen.
You
Thank
did
you.
a screen share. Now you
Fist,
got
fist,
these.
fist bump, fist
Yeah,
bump, fist bump.
there-
Okay.
boom,
Okay.
boom.
No, the camera's up here, Stephen. The fist bump. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Yeah. If you guys don't think Steve and I are crazy, then you're off. But but we're crazy good. We care about you guys. Keith said, Mel, Terrell, me too. I just signed up for InventRight coaching. So
Good.
yeah. So thank you, Keith. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Okay, so
Are you cherry picking the questions?
no, I'm going to answer them all. I'm going
Okay, go ahead.
to. You got so much to say. I don't know if we're going to get to them all, but we got another
You better
27
hurry
minutes.
up.
Okay, John says, is it better to start sending sell sheets to smaller companies and work up, or
Whoa.
start with the larger companies and work down? Now, Stephen and I just slightly disagree on this, maybe. Stephen, I think that if you got a list of 30 companies, you just get it out to all 30 companies. You don't go, because people are too timid. Like, oh, I'll send it to companies and wait for a
I know.
response. And then I don't
Andrew,
like that.
I've changed my opinion on this a
And
little
why
bit.
have you? Because you did change it a little bit.
I
But,
have changed, and it's okay to change. Okay.
right.
I know what you're saying. You don't want people to slow down their momentum. That's what you're saying, and I agree.
Get
That's
all
why
the irons in the fire. It's going
I
to take a
know.
long
I
time for
know.
them to come back.
I know, and I know a lot of people have a hard time getting started and keeping going and following up. You're right. They do that, and that's why having someone behind you making sure that our coach is making sure you're doing all that stuff, because sometimes
Right.
we need to be motivated. And you're right. You're a little afraid that people are going to wait too much, too long and lose their.
And then it like strings out.
I
They're
know.
waiting for this one special company, and it's like
I
two
know.
months later. It's like you could have been reaching out to more companies, and that is what we teach. But
I
you're kind
know.
of like tweaking it a
I
little bit.
changed it a little bit. I
When
changed it a little.
people are new, you want to get a little bit of feedback. The only the
Uh,
only the only the problem I have with your new thing that you've been talking about a little bit is that you don't get it from most of them. Like you maybe reach out to
I,
20, and you might only get feedback
I,
from two or
I,
three if
I,
you ask. You know.
for ideas that are done very well,
Mm-hmm.
for ideas that the magic just shows up fast, the videos are good, the socials are good, I know there's going to be some interest. I know there is. I can see it. I'm telling those guys, okay, slow it down just a tad for me here, because I don't want a lot of people seeing this thing. It's too much. Let's do a little bit smaller at first, because they're going to respond. And when they do respond, I want to hear what they have to say. I want to get a little feedback. Those are the ideas. I'm afraid, because I can see it, Andrew, on those calls I have with those students now. And everybody knows we have a program, a special program, especially this month, where when you join up, I'm on that second call because I want to see that. And it's that type of years of experience of going, what I just saw, you have something here that someone's going to want. I can see it. All right, so let's don't go crazy. Let's don't blast out to 20 companies and let everybody see your idea. No, I'm a little bit more cautious right now.
But you don't want to take a year to show it to 30 companies.
No,
God,
no. But I do know that maybe three. But here's
okay,
the
well,
question.
let's answer John's question with the small
Right.
companies versus
right.
the medium size and larger companies.
I like that approach, John. I like it. And I'll tell you the reason why. You're going to learn a little bit each time you have those conversations. So when you have it in front of a bigger company, you're ready. Now, let me tell you the problem with that strategy, right? If you have not done this before, you're not even ready with the smaller company.
Right.
So in theory, it does work. We like to have, we actually talk a lot about that with our students, because having someone behind you, every question that comes in, you're answering it correctly in the right sequence, right? But if you don't even know what questions they're going to ask, even those smaller companies, you're probably going to trip up a little bit, okay? You also have to be careful that if you get these smaller companies interested and you keep on going after the big fish, what do you do with the guy you just left behind? You burned a bridge, right? Because if I'm working with a smaller company, they show interest, but I'm just like, hey, I'm going after the big. I'll keep you at bay for a while because I'm going to go after the bigger one. What did you just do to the smaller guy?
Hmm. Yeah, and that's what traditionally that's what we've said. You get them. People want to do a very timid approach, and we kind of, for the most part, our coaches will guide students not to do that because it'll take forever and a day. And to reach out, it's only a percentage are going to get back to you. Then you got to reach out again and again and again.
And
And
we're good at the reaching out now because of the program with Smart Pitch. See, here's the other thing that's changed in my mind. Because we teach this class on LinkedIn twice a month on how to get into companies. We wrote a book, Licensing Ideas Using LinkedIn. We're so good at that now, you're going to get a response now. When we were talking about going after 20, that was back in the day where it's hard to knock on the door and we didn't have LinkedIn, all that stuff. So I've changed it a little bit because we're so good at it now. I don't want all those people
my interview with Keanu, one of our coaches, and his student Chad Brislon, he reached out to 100, and he's like, "Oh, I know I was kind of weak because my coach here, he did a couple hundred, which is non-normal, guys, non-normal. We don't want to freak you out. Typically, we'll do 20 or 30,
Oh,
but it is always it is you still believe it's still a numbers game.
yes,
A
it
lot
is.
of a decent amount of companies, not 2 or 3, but 20 or 30 if possible, and then 3 or 4 or 5 people in the same company until you get a person that you've made a connection with. So it is always a numbers game. But I think Steven's making a very relevant point about, wow, this is a really cool product. Let's see if we can get a little feedback from a few of them. But I think there, and I think he's done a really good job saying there, but there is a middle ground. If you're
I,
just
I,
really timid, that's not going to work
I
either.
just think we've gotten better, Andrew. I
Mhm.
think our coaches are better. I think LinkedIn's made us better. So it's not like we're just knocking on these doors. I think we can get into companies now easier, and I think we're going to get a response faster now. So I'm just a little
Mhm.
bit hesitant to see this great idea and go, all right, let's send them to everybody. Oh, whoa, wait a minute now. Why don't we just be a little bit more cautious? But I do there. Every project's different. All right,
This is interesting.
put it
Um,
up there. Yeah, I love
Pe-
how you, Andrew.
Peter, I'm just clicking on buttons, dude. Don't give me too much
I'm
credit.
impressed.
You should be giving me a hard time for not using this feature before. That's what you
Forget
should
it.
do. There you go.
Forget it.
But thank you, thank you. Peter said, it's a lot like pitching a TV show to a production company. Could you try and make a pilot yourself and try ABD to find a buyer, but you don't have the equipment, talent, distribution, et cetera, to establish production companies? So
Oh my God.
yeah, a massive part of our InventRight approach is sell the sizzle, sell the benefit. You're not selling literally your product or a prototype or a patent. And I know I said product. You're like, what are you talking about? And you're selling the product. No, you're selling the benefit of the product. So when you do a marketing piece, a sell sheet or a video, you're showing that to them. And you're like, and Steven said this many times, if you're like 70% sure they can make it, who said you needed to like get an injection mold and figure out every little detail of the engineering? You don't need to a
I
lot of
know,
the
but
time.
Andrew, there's a lot of engineers watching us, and
They want to do it.
there's a lot of people that just love the little details. They love the details,
And that's
right?
going to mess them up.
That's going to mess them up.
It's going to mess them
So
up.
that's why
Why? Tell them why it's going to mess them up.
well, they're going to be worried about things they don't need to worry about, and they're going to do all this work, and they don't know if anybody even wants it yet.
And here's the psychology behind it. It's just another reason to procrastinate on the
Oh,
stuff that they're not yet comfortable with, which is reaching out to companies.
Andrew,
Because that's when things
can,
can happen. You can
yeah,
be dicking around with all the research and stuff. Nothing will happen until you reach out to a company. So it's another excuse. Now, we're not always saying this is the case, guys. When we do these shows, the things we say don't apply 100% to every product, okay? And everybody thinks, well, then I'm the exception. No, most of the time, what we're saying is true. There's always exceptions, and sometimes, Stephen, we'll get a coach that says, "Oh, I got the student. They're saying Stephen Andrews said this on the show," And the coach is like, yeah, but it doesn't apply in your situation. And occasionally I'll need to actually talk to the student and go, you know, your coach is right. You're an exception. So guys, when we're giving you advice, not all the time, we don't have your particular scenario, but the advice we give you is like a most of the time thing. You know.
You know, Andrew, you said something that was really interesting. And I want everybody to understand this. We, at our program at InventRight, first calls with the coach and with me, we're really trying to understand the correct path. And then later we follow up towards the end of the program to give us a scorecard. How did we do? A, B, C. Did we fail? And then let me tell you where you fail. We fail if that member or student has not got in the game of pitching ideas and getting feedback. Right? There's no way we can guarantee they're going to take your idea. That's impossible. And there's no guarantee we're going to say your idea is going to sell 1 million. No one has those crystal balls. But the point I think we're making now is, and Andrew said this millions of times, you're only in the game when you're reaching out to companies getting feedback. Right? That's a good measurement stick for me.
Yeah.
Right? You can protect it, study the marketplace. You could do a sales sheet, a video, file a PPA, make a list of companies. But if you're not getting the engagement, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not getting positive engagement, or at least people talking to you, then we have failed. We all have failed, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to do this correctly. And here's the other thing too. If you reach out to a company and you don't do it the right way, there's a good chance that door is going to close on you. Right. And they do. And their job, these companies, and they told me this, our job is not to teach you. And it's not just how great your product is. Right. We have a lot of other requirements that need to be talked about and discussed. And we have to make sure you're the right person to bring in. We have to look at the cost and the pack. And we have to look at all this stuff. You have risk written on your forehead when you knock on our door. So anyway, just wanted to really get back to that engagement of feedback and how important it is. And if you're not doing that, something's going
And
wrong.
on the other side of things, the reason we just showed like 100 plus of our students that are licensed products on our website. When you do and say the right things, you dramatically increase your chances of success. And that goes beyond your product. They can love your product, but if they see you as you're going to be a difficult person, or they need to explain every little thing, and you're not doing anything to guide the deal, you know, that's why people don't do deals. And here I'm going to say something that shocks new people that don't know this. You're at least 50% responsible for a deal getting done. If you just think, I'm going to send them my idea and then I'm just going to keep replying to whatever question they have for me, you will not close deals. You need to guide them. And you're like, well, I can't guide this big company. No, they're not a big company. They're a person. And you're like, they're asking a question. And once you understand, like if you're working with our negotiation coach, Paul, he's like, well, that's not going to move things forward. Let's half answer it. Let's go back over this way. And before the student's like, oh, crap, that worked. Like, you know, and it's like, so because we know how to do that. And once you know how to do that, you don't need us anymore. But it's just as much about that as about your product. If you think just because it's such a great product and they see it, that everything will fall into place for a licensing deal, you are sorely mistaken.
Andrew, let's talk about the
licensing
licensing deal for just a minute before you get to the next question. I saw a licensing agreement come in recently, and I reviewed it, and I saw the holes, and there's pretty big gaping hole here. All right.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about.
No, not this one.
Not that one. Okay. All right.
There's another one that came in, and I was like, wow, this is like the holy grail of holes. This is like the biggest hole ever. If you sign this is a problem. And that same person that sent it to me sent it to someone else, and that someone else had a patent attorney look at it, and they didn't see the hole at all.
Well, first of all, one thing they did wrong there, which you would agree with, is you don't send a licensing agreement to a patent attorney.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. It's very specialized. This is all the stuff we're talking about is pretty specialized. And so I said, this is what I said to the person. I said, why don't you send it to that person and get the feedback from that attorney and see if they can see the holes. And they came back and they didn't see any of the holes.
Wow.
Because they don't specialize in what happens when you sign a deal. So
Yeah.
All this thing that we're talking about is pretty specialized, right? And so realize that if you are trying to do this for the first time, realize that like anything else, it's going to probably take a little bit longer than you think. It's probably going to take a little bit more time. It's probably going to run in some, headway, some roadblocks, but keep going, get good information, find someone to help you. All right.
Stephen, can you give Beth a pep talk here? She says she's on a PPA. I don't know what means PPA. And she thinks the product's great. I have working prototypes, but I'm horrible at sales. I get crazy nervous. So, most of our members have never done sales before. Some of them have, most of them haven't.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that? And what can you say to her to show her that she and everybody else here, regardless of their background, can do this? And how do we do it at InventRight that prevents her to
Yeah.
have to be a sales schmuck, and she thinks she needs to be slick and come across as like super sharp, and you totally don't. So can you give her a pep talk?
Yeah, Andrew, you're right. And a lot of us probably think I need to be a salesperson. I don't like sales. All right.
Right.
No, you don't want to be a salesperson. If anything, you want to tell a story, right? A story that someone can identify with. And how do you do that? You do that with the one-page sell sheet, we call it. It's an advertisement, a one-page advertisement of your product idea. That really shows the benefit of why someone would care. Let that tool sell for you. You don't have to sell. And Andrew says this all the time. He goes, and you don't have to knock on a door and sell. No, you're delivering that package, that sell sheet, your marketing material to a company to review and let it sell itself.
Right.
Because if it does not sell itself, it doesn't matter how great you are at sales.
Yeah, and the next discussion you have is to talk about the product. They are already intrigued by it because you did a good sales pitch, which is not a pitch. It's your sell sheet doing the pitch for you. So
Yeah.
now you're just having a kind of a not a salesy conversation, a conversation. Now you need to know how to have those conversations. Don't get me wrong. Our negotiation coach Paul guides our students through that. You need to know how to communicate via email once you get interest, and how to communicate on the phone. But you're not selling. So if now the part that our students that do have a background in sales, Stephen, that benefits them is anybody that has done sales. I don't care if they sold Cutco knives door to door when they're in college or high school, or they actually have had a sales job, but is the fact that they're going to get no's. So that's the thing that people have a really hard time getting used to. They're going to get a no, or they're going to get crickets, and they need to keep
But,
reaching out till they get a no. And
but let's
it's
talk about the no
hard.
for a minute.
That's
Okay,
hard.
let's talk about the no for a minute, because I was on a call with one of our members, and I was following up. I said, how did we do? What's going on? So he goes, well, I'm doing pretty good. And I've only reached, I reached out to 3 or 4 companies. I got some engagement, and one company said this, and another company said this, and another company said this. I said, first of all, you're doing a great job. Okay, but we need more companies. Like you said, 3 is not enough. And from the 3 that you sent it to, you had some engagement. So you know how to get to the companies. Congratulations. The coach did a good job. You're in the game. But when he told me, one company said, well, the royalties, we like to do kind of a scaling royalty. He didn't know what that meant. So he thought, I don't want to bother with that. I said, no, that's something all negotiations, especially contracts, are going to get negotiated. That's a sliding scale royalty. That's no big deal. That's great news. That is great news. They're even asking about it.
It's great news. They're just engaging and talking about the deal. That's always a good thing, even if it's terrible. Even if the terms are terrible, they're talking about it. They want the product. You're doing great. Even if they're beating you up and a lot of the terms aren't agreeable, it's okay. You're gonna see if you can figure it out.
It scared them off. I said, okay, all right.
It shouldn't.
I know it did though, Andrew. And I said, okay. That's why you need someone seasoned behind it. Go, no, that's a good thing. Here's the other thing that kind of stopped him a little bit. One person, he sent it off to a DRTV company, and they said, well, it's too low cost. It needs to be packaged with more. Okay. I said, look, number one, that's only a problem for the DRTV. If they, even though they contacted you and gave you feedback, is a good thing. Okay, it just didn't hit the price point. of what they're looking for, what they want to sell. They don't want to sell a
Mm.
$5.99 product. They want to sell a $19 product. So, okay, that's really good news. That's not bad news. He was, I thought it was bad news. I go, no, that's not bad news. Now we just have to find the company that sells that particular product. But here's the catch, Andrew, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
I asked him, could you explain the type of companies you're going after? And then he showed me, the type of companies. I said, well, let me go online and let's do a little bit deeper. And what happened was he was just stopping a little short. He should have gone further, like you talked about. But he didn't realize that even though he got a no today, it's okay to follow up 2-3 months later because things do change, right? And he didn't realize he could follow up. So I guess what I'm saying to everybody, if you're doing this, that's why having someone that's done it a couple of times that can read between the lines, some of this feedback you're getting, what does that really mean? Is it too expensive, or the timing isn't right, or it's not the right category? And you realize all the things that were happening were really great things. He just didn't know how to read between the lines.
Yeah, good advice, Stephen. I'm going to put this one up from John. When I start getting interest in my product, is there a package with InventRight that helps with the details of negotiations? So this is something that Stephen and I get asked quite often. And I'm just going to give you guys the statistics. Some people go, well, I just want to use you guys for the negotiations. And I'm like, you're welcome to do that. But here's the thing that Stephen and I experience when people say that, and then we're like, yeah, come on back. You can sign up for the negotiations month to month and we'll help you. But guess what? We never hear from those people because they didn't do the right things to get into a deal. Like, it's very rare.
John's been a member of ours. He's gone through it. John had a few problems with the PPA, and I've already told John, call me.
Of course.
Because PPAs is a little bit weird and it's a little intimidating. I understand it. But John now knows how to do this. And he wants to know, can I come back once I get a deal?
Of course.
Okay, that's what he's asking.
That's different. But I'm talking, so I'm more generically answering and not specifically for you, John. Because I do recognize the name now. Stephen's good. He recognized the name. I didn't recognize it right away. People that aren't students of ours, and they're like, oh, I'll just sign up when I get a deal. And it's like, if you don't know how to get a deal on the table, if your sell sheet's no good, your marketing's no good, you're not reaching out to the right companies, you don't know how to reach out, you don't know how to talk to companies, you're not going to get into a deal where we can help you. And we see that over and over and over again. So I think sometimes people, they're trying to save money in that area and they're just hurting themselves.
Well, Andrew, wait a minute. Let's talk about saving money for a minute, because I think we all want to be smart with our money.
Of course.
Okay.
I try to save money at every turn, of course.
Yeah, I know. And the best investment, and this is really hard for people to understand, because you think that I want a prototype, that's a good investment. I need a patent, that's a good investment, because those are tangible, so I can touch it. But the coaching piece, I can't touch that. And Keith has said something really important about the coaching. No matter who it is, if you have someone behind you and guides you to that success, it's priceless, right? And that small amount of coaching that got you there compared to everything else of what that costs, is a small part.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just trying to tell everybody, I know sometimes we have a lot of YouTube. How many YouTube do we have? 950 YouTubes? Almost, almost 1,000. We have books. We've got all this information. Do we see a lot of success with that? Yes and no, but not as much as we would like, because no professional in any field is going to watch a YouTube channel or read a book and become a pro. There has to be someone behind it, kind of, and that's just kind of what we've seen over the years. And I think anybody that's a professional will tell you, I've been educated.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Keith, thank you for saying that, because it's expensive. And some people, this is expensive. Well, there's a lot of other things that are going to be very expensive.
Yeah, and Steve and I, over the years, just behind the scenes, we've always scratched our head that people will spend $10,000 on a patent, but to pay a couple $1,000s to get coaching on every aspect of the process to turn them into a pro, so they can license products the rest of their life, that they hesitate. But I don't think it's the money, Stephen. I think it's a very big leap, and we need to acknowledge that, and we have, to go from dreaming up ideas to actually working on them. So I don't think it's always about the money. I think people say it is, but it's about like, oh crap, now I got to spend 2 to 6 hours a week every single week working on my ideas, not just coming up with ideas, but doing stuff that I don't want to do, like reaching out to companies. And
Well,
it's hard to make that transition. We have to acknowledge that.
maybe also they don't trust themselves that they're going to
What do you
work
mean?
hard enough. Well, I think there's something about all of us that we maybe have started a project that we didn't complete.
Sure.
Or maybe they're worried that maybe I'm not capable, or they're worried that I won't follow enough, or I'll get distracted. So they don't trust themselves.
Or this whole licensing thing isn't real. It's just Steve and Andrew
Well, kind
talking
of.
and stuff. It's like,
I know,
yeah,
but
whatever, you know.
well, there's a lot of programs that people get started, and they, for some reason, they have maybe they have a history of not completing.
Right. Sure. Sure.
All
That's
right,
valid. It's valid.
that's very, very valid. But what I realized though, when I take on something new, I need to make sure I have someone or something to keep me accountable, that keeps me on track, that keeps me showing up every day, that
Hmm.
keeps me completing the task, right? And if you don't have that mechanism, I don't care if you have a personal coach to go to a gym, the reason why you're doing that, that person's going to keep you doing it. It's going to require you to show up. How many people get a gym membership and then quit?
Well, they don't quit. They keep paying because they don't want
Well,
to admit that they.
okay, but at the end of the day, you need to have someone that says, "All right, do those push-ups." Okay,
Well,
come on, man.
you know, I
Just,
I really want to thank you, Mel,
uh,
for sharing something so personal here. Trial and error, many failures is not a factor for me. Just need the push. 22 years, colon rectal cancer,
oh,
cancer warrior. I've only created, some of us, we need to do something like get cancer and get over it to go, wow, I need to do something with my life. I need to
mm.
do something important. I could die any day. And any of us can, and whether we have cancer or not. But for some of us, something needs to happen. Maybe Mel would have found this within themselves, anyways. But anyway, Mel, that's a very so the people that get our help, some people are perfectly, and you need to figure out who you are. Some people are perfectly happy waking up every morning, dreaming about their ideas, coming up with another one, writing them down in the notebook, or just keeping their head, and it gives you a rush that you came up with this cool idea. And that is, and you'll be happy with that forever. Probably not any of you guys here because you're listening to us ramble for an hour. But then there's another set of inventors, which is it's a very small subset of people with ideas that are like, God damn it, I'm tired of coming up with ideas. I'm going to actually make an effort to get it out there and do all this stuff I'm not comfortable with beyond coming up with the idea.
Well,
And just the fact that you guys are listening to us right now, that's probably you.
well,
You need
Andrew,
to determine if that's you.
not every, I'm a pretty self-motivated guy. I know everybody isn't like that, right? So those are very valid, you guys. But the reason I think what's really important, the reason why you're here today listening to us, you are interested, you are passionate, you want to take that next step. You're in the game. That's the thing I like. So let's get to some more. How's the timing, Andrew? Oh
We're,
God.
we're we're at the hour
All right, let's get
actually.
a couple. Is there any more we haven't hit that are important? They're
Let's
all
see.
important, but anything else we can hit?
Let's see. Okay, it's kind of a technical one here. Here we go. David, hi, Stephen and Andrew. Is it true that any claims you don't list in your provisional patent won't be protected in your non-provisional patent? No, that's not true, David. So I'll give him kind of a general answer. So let's say you file the provisional today, David, okay, and it has A and B in it. And then you're talking to some companies and you get interest from a company and they're like, yeah, we want you to do a patent. And you're like, great. And you get them to just give you some sort of advance. You put that towards the patent. And then you're going to tell the attorney, look, I came up with this other little variation here, and I want you to put that in the non-provisional. So you're going to be protected for A and B from the date you filed your provisional, and then when you do the non-provisional, let's say 8 months later, okay, and you add C to it, you're protected for C, that new information from that date. That's the way it works. It won't be like you did your provisional, you forgot something, now you're just screwed and you can never change it. You can actually file another provisional, cover that new information. So you don't have to file a patent to cover that. You can actually have multiple provisionals, then later file full utility, and you'll reference the provisionals. And for whatever is each one of those provisionals from each of those dates, you're protected from those dates, or you're protected from your full utility. Stephen, things like this hold people
How
back. Like they
those-
don't.
I know, Andrew, but I'm really glad the way you answered that. And maybe they're not getting that type of information from their patent attorney. And you know what's really crazy? We hear all the time
No,
if
they
someone has
aren't.
filed a provisional patent application and their patent attorney is forcing them to file a non-provisional patent application, and they
Yeah.
don't know they have other options. We hear that all the
Right.
time too.
Yeah. I think I piss off a lot of attorneys because I'll catch somebody there. They're like, my patent attorney's telling me I need to spend 10 grand. I'm like, well, have you shown it to anybody? Have you? No, I haven't done anything. I filed a provisional. Like,
But
file another provisional. You're going to lose your original date. But almost never do I see that. I've never, literally, never seen that be an issue for inventor. Could it? Yes. Is that worth $10,000? In my opinion, for you and me, Stephen, we would never spend that money on that.
are you going
So
on a
a little bit, a little bit. No, well, because I'm beating up. We spent almost a whole hour not beating up patent attorneys. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I almost.
No,
Anyway,
I did a video for YouTube. People are loving it. I went a little crazy with patent attorneys on my
okay,
YouTube.
we're gonna end on this one, Stephen, because I know you got another engagement here in 27 minutes. We're gonna end on this one. And sorry, guys, there's a lot of questions in here. We couldn't even remotely get to them all. Um, Christy Lee said, "What advice would you give to someone who has a notebook filled with product ideas?" Steve, I'm gonna let you answer that one. I think it's a great idea. Great question. I mean,
Well, you know, Andrew, we hear that all the time. You know, that they have a book filled with ideas. Well,
mhm.
that's great. And I think that's part of that magical process at the very beginning that you love so much. Right. But now what do you do? That's that next step that people just don't know. What we like to talk about quite often with our members and students and coaches, how do we pick which one to work on? You know, and that's why there's some steps to go through by studying the marketplace, evaluating your ideas. You go through it to realize, all right, let me pick one that has a good chance because they're great. I love all my ideas, but some of them are going to be more profitable than others. So I have to have a process, and we've talked about this, the process of evaluating your ideas to which ones do you work on. So I love that she's doing that, but what do you do now? Right? And they don't do anything in your book.
Well, when somebody becomes a student, usually they'll go over several of them, 3 or 4 or 5 with the coach. And the coach is not a wizard. They need information. So they might say, "Well, I have enough to help you with number 1 and number 2, but number 3 and 4, I need more information. Come back, let's figure it out together." And it's not just the one you love necessarily, if you're okay to working on one of several, but which ones are more licensable and for what reasons. And understanding which products are more licensable and actually going over those products is a great exercise that all of our students don't do early on, but I love it when they can. So I think it's a fantastic thing, Christy, if you're Christy Lee, if you're open to working on any of them. And coaches love that. They're like, great, let's go over each of them. Let's go over the upsides and downs. But it's not their personal opinion. It's their opinion based on the market facts. What else is in the space of that invention? And also other
And
litmus tests is, oh, this one's going to be a little harder because of this or that, because of the industry or whatever. So, and
can,
that is not something that people are brand new, they really get at all. Very few people.
yeah, can we make something really clear too? We don't evaluate an idea on the merit of the idea. I think that's ridiculous, right? I think we can evaluate the industry, the difficulties, what's going to be required. Does it have a benefit statement? Does it have a wow factor? We can do all those things that we're very good at. But if some of these people want to evaluate the idea and give you a scorecard, I think that's ridiculous. What I think what Andrew said is very, very important to talk about, to look at it. But here's what I want her to do, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
Each of those ideas, right? Three sentences at most. And the first sentence, explain why someone would care. What are you doing for that person? What is the benefit, right? I mean, why is it going to make my life better? Why would someone even care? Do that for each of those ideas.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when you do that, and if the benefit's big enough, it's going to jump off that page. So that's the first thing I would do if I was her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good advice. Good advice. We're about 6 minutes late here, guys. I enjoyed myself. I hope that you guys enjoyed yourself. Come on back next week. Ask some more questions. I know we didn't get to everybody because we had a lot of people in here, but I want to remind you guys to take care and keep inventing. Stephen, anything you want to say in closing?
No, I want everybody to go over to our YouTube channel, InventRightTV, watch it. Andrew's got one that I think just posted at 11. And he goes through the process of one of our members that licensed an idea. I think you're going to really love that video, so don't miss it. Thank you for doing it, Andrew.
Yeah, get on YouTube, give our videos thumbs up, subscribe, click on the notifications button, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, Stephen. See you guys.